In this video we're going to be going over some survivability tactics and usabilities from incoming repairs, armor regen, armor on kill, and just generally killing the target so nothing shoots back. Welcome to Did You Know? Now, I recently caused a stir by saying that armor regen is mostly a useless stat. And this is twofold. One, if you get it as an attribute, it's typically very low at 4,925 armor per second. This is basically redundant. This means nothing. It's not even an enemy sneezing on you. However, we do have percentage armor regen, which is better. However, there's not enough pieces of it to actually be able to get enough out of it, and there's either a time constraint or you're being shot. Now, there is one gear set that basically makes everything I've just said redundant, and that would be Foundry, simply due to the fact that it's a percentage regen of the damage you take, and it also works for your shield, so you can alternate between damaging your shield to heal you and damaging yourself to heal your shield. This makes for a unique gameplay and is probably the only place really where there is an argument to be made for armor regen. Now, the maximum amount of armor regen you can realistically get on a single build is 6%. 3 from Memento, 1 from Bellstone, 1 from Emperor's Guard named Murakami Knees, and then you get another 1% from 2-piece Golan. Obviously, we do have 3-piece Gila Guard that offers 1% armor regen. However, for that you'd be swapping out Memento and your Emperor's Guard, so you'd be losing 4% armor regen for 1% armor regen. Memento, Emperor's Guard, Bellstone, 2-piece Golan gives us a lovely total of 6% armor regen. Now, there is a weird slip with this, with the numerical values, such as the armor regen mods, of it's barely 5,000 armor. It literally says it's per second. However, with percentage armor regen, I've tested and tried, and I've tried to come up with a solid reason, really, as to why this happens. But with the mods, it's per second. With percentage armor regen, it's per half a second. Now, what I actually did was I got Memento to full stacks, tested it, destroyed my armor. I tested it 9 times because I was like, this can't be right. If you've got 3% armor regen, you'd think that for 100%, 3 goes into 100 33.3 times. That would take 33.3 seconds. However, every time I tested it, it kept on coming up. My counting, depending, would be about 16.8 seconds. I'm assuming it would be 16.6, because if you times 16.6 by 2, you end up with 33.3. So percentage armor regen does seem to tick every half a second, which hopefully you can see here. Annoyingly, it basically with armor regen, it kicks in immediately. Well, it's constant, really. So I've got a timer running on screen. You can time it yourself if you want, but it does end up being, when I stop the timer, it ends up being about 17 seconds. And I tested this 5 or 6 times, really. I've tested it in the range. I've tried testing it with the skill haste turned off. I've tested it in the open world. It all ends up being approximately the same. So percentage armor regen is ticking twice per second effectively. This is clutch, which interestingly, below half armor, well, up to about 80%, it is 60 times more effective than even if you had 18% armor regen. Now, clutch is quite weird for the simple fact of it regenerates per crit 2.5% of your missing armor. That is your current missing armor. If you're missing 100% of your armor, this is near enough 23k armor regen for a crit. If you're missing 10% of your armor, this is only 2k per crit. This is a fun one. This is a single armor on kill mod. And yeah, it's quite slow. However, it is directly comparable to roughly 1 or 2% armor regen. It is going to be dependent on your overall build, as well as the weapon you are using. Arguably, the best weapon to use with this is going to be something like Regulus, or if you're using Negotiator's Dilemma as a set, this will allow you to get the maximum potential out of something like an Armour on Kill mod. They are generally considered useless. I mostly do agree, but it really is dependent on what it is you're utilising it with. You can get some seriously hefty chunks of armour from just one mod if you're able to, such as using Dod City and Regulus in conjunction with each other. You are able to at least get roughly 22% of your armor regen per kill. This is the Umbra Initiative set. This is probably the highest rate of armor regen. However, it's not that worthwhile because it doesn't actually fill you up. This is one incoming repair mod. It takes 2 chems to hit full armor, and it's probably the quickest gain in the game while not compromising that much of your build. It's literally just one mod, and you don't necessarily have to use it. And this is percentage armor on kill. 1 kill and it's put me over half of my armor already, and 2 more kills, near enough full. There we are, look at that, we're full on armor. Problem solved. Now comes in the caveat of you only need to worry about this if you take damage in the first place. Now there's several ways around this. The first and easiest is just don't get into a firefight. Problem solved really then. Problem is it's a looter shooter. The idea is to shoot things. Typically if you shoot something they tend to shoot back. I know, it's really annoying. So, in order to stop them shooting back, we have to either utilise cover, which doesn't always work because we have to peek out of cover to shoot them and they can then shoot us. We then have shields. This again doesn't always work simply because for most shields you're either using a pistol or you're still using AR, at which point your head is exposed and enemies like to be really annoying and aim for the head. We also just have the general purpose of dead things don't tend to shoot back. So, the way in which you're able to rate survivability is the way in which you're able to regain armor and how effective that armor regain is, whether that be through armor on kill, percent armor regen, generalized healing, as well as your time to kill. And generally speaking, with this, you will want to get to as close as 1 as possible. What this would then mean is, in order to maintain your survivability, you only really need to kill 1 enemy. Now, this is still a formula I'm working on. It's in the rough stages, and I'm kind of basing it on a herpetological term. Yeah, there's a one for you. Herpetological. Yeah, it's the study of reptiles. I say we like I am still one, Jesus Christ. I actually trained as a herpetologist, by the way, in case anyone didn't know. I like venomous reptiles, leave me alone, I'm weird. In order to calculate how lethal certain venoms are, we use what's called LD50, lethal dose at 50%. And I'm incorporating this term into armor regain at 50%, and the reason I'm doing it at 50% is simply because of things like clutch, Umbra Initiative, etc, etc. It's going to be absolutely nearly impossible for you to measure these on a scale of 100, simply just because in order for Umbra to hit 100%, it just takes too damn long to even be measurable. And then the same with clutch. Not sure if anyone noticed, but on the clutch clip I showed, I didn't actually hit 100% armor, simply just because the game then starts working in absolutely ridiculous decimals. Say for example you have 1 armor missing, as in just a numerical value of 1, getting a crit will replenish 2.5% of 1. We end up sitting there for literally forever, and it can never actually hit maximum armor because you always have to be missing something, and it just ends up being a mess. However, Utilizing something like clutch works absolutely beautifully if you are around 80% of your armor. So I give you this. Now I've just called them as they were, so the Memento build, clutch build, the armor on kill with mod, the Umber initiative, the build of incoming repairs, and the percentage armor on kill. All of these builds were essentially the exact same, like it was the exact same build with Memento and clutch. I just swapped the backpacks. The armor on kill was the exact same. I just put my normal backpack on and put Dodge City holster on. And with incoming repairs, it's the exact same build. I just swapped a critical hit damage mod for incoming repairs. From here, I calculated their DPS and then into their TTK. Memento got 1.8 seconds, Clutch got 1.7, the Armour on Kill mod got 1.3, Umbra got 1.27, incoming repairs got 1.31, and the Armour on Kill got 0.6. Admittedly, we were using Dodge City holster at this point. I then calculated how much armor gain we were getting utilizing whatever healing mechanic I was able to during this time within the confines of the build. So in 1.81 seconds, Memento would give me roughly 9% of my armor back. During 1.73 seconds, Clutch would give me 18 seconds. During 1.31 seconds, an armor on kill mod would give me 3.4%. Umbra wouldn't actually give you any unless you stood up, but then you're utilizing a different mechanic. Incoming repairs during 1.31 seconds would give me 24% of my armor, and then percentage armor on kill with the mechanic in which I was regaining armor would give me 58% of my armor back. Then comes the hard part. See, to accurately test this at AR-50, we would have to gauge how much damage the enemies are actually doing, which I don't actually know how to do. So I've just put a guesstimate in. So what we have here is essentially how long it would take during a firefight for us to gain that amount of armor back up to 50%. With Memento it's 8 seconds, with Clutch it's 4 seconds, Armor on Kill mod 15 seconds, Umbra would be 8 seconds, incoming repairs is 3 seconds, and Armor on Kill is just hit something, essentially. Which then means in order to maintain our optimal survivability at 50% armor, we would need to kill 4.42 enemies with Memento, 2.31 enemies with Clutch, 11.45 enemies with Armor on Kill, 6.3 enemies with Umbra, 2.29 enemies with incoming repairs, and just 1 enemy utilizing Armor on Kill. What this essentially means is cross-referencing your rate in which you're able to kill things with the mechanic in which you are healing. The best way to actually go about it is armor on kill. The caveat to this is you need to kill things, which typically isn't a problem as long as you're running a DPS build. And depending on the mechanic in which you're gaining that armor on kill, you are essentially near enough immortal. Up next would be incoming repairs. Being able to heal yourself during a firefight with incoming repairs. Then it's Clutch. Then it's essentially percentage armor regen. At this point we're only using 3%, so it can go up or down on the list depending on how much percentage armor regen you have. Then it would be Umber initiative, depending on how you want to utilize the mechanic. If you're utilizing the mechanic correctly and then maybe in conjunction with something else, again, it can move up and down the list. And lastly, it's the armor on kill mods. Anyway, like I said, this is a very rough formula. I'm still working on it. Don't take everything here as gospel. It's just something that I've been tinkering with. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.